Here it is. Or DiceGame example. Okay. So when I make these examples, I try to demonstrate different parts from Google. Not Googling, but from Google examples. So copy, please clone example DiceGame. I don't plan to spend a lot of time on it because this is mostly tedious but not specifically interesting, except just one specific area that I want to demonstrate. So let's clone it. New, get from version control, project from version control, command V, DiceGame Android. Clone. Or it's already existing. So probably we cloned this before, right? But I want to clone it anyway because I will put it number 2, because who knows, maybe I change it. Okay? So I put since last thing when I was demonstrating it. So I changed this to DiceGame 2 to avoid overwriting thing, sticking 2 projects, potentially different projects, into the same folder. Trust project, new window. I will just close this one. Okay. This program is using the same view model libraries, and you see it wants me to update Android Gradle plugin. In some cases, it is safe to update, it will not break your program, but I won't take the chance, because if it breaks it, I will have to roll back. Okay, so I will update it. You can always update it with a later AGP upgrade assistant, if you really want it. Okay. I will do it later. So, or should I do it in front of you? Okay, let's do it in front of you. So how the process looks like? Android Gradle plugin update. Either that button or tools Android Gradle plugin update brings up this window. You choose the latest, and it is small step, so it probably won't break it. So it will change files in our here. Okay, it will change things here and perhaps here, and also will change Gradle actual file for the Gradle. So run selected steps. Okay. It seems like was fine. You can revert it, and you see what it changed. It looks blue. It means this file changed. It's changed. So it changed this 3. No, sorry. This is old. It changed this. It changed this number. This was before. And now it shows that this needs to be updated. And we can update it if we want, like this. But this one and this one. And after update, we need to click elephant button. When you update libraries, be careful, because you can break it. Because sometimes the program will not work with new libraries. I don't think it's the case right now, because these libraries are close in numbers. So most likely it won't break it. If it breaks, we have magic button in commit, this button, that will take everything back. Okay. After changing libraries, we need to click sync. Otherwise, it will not work. It means synchronization of the project. Sync, it is the same as elephant. So sync appears when you edit this manually, but sometimes it doesn't, so you click elephant. And if you work on your code and it starts misbehaving for no obvious reasons, Android Studio, like it underlining red lines where everything is fine, maybe it is just out of sync, you need to click elephant. Okay. So hopefully it didn't break it, so let's check it. I'm running it. So it starts. Okay. So this program starts with unrolled state, not rolled state. Right? When it's not rolled, it doesn't show any outputs. When you click roll dice, it will take you to rolled state. And that will display some value. But not rolled state also has some value. It is how many dice you're about to roll. So 3. Okay? So it is this state, it is not just flag, it's actually carrying some data. It's number of dice you're about to roll. So you change this to 4, and it is 4. Right? So it does have a state. It's number of dice that you're about to roll. So click roll, and this is the result. Click roll, roll, roll. It is rolled state, but different state, because on roll it is changing the data that is displayed. And when you click reset, it goes back to unrolled state. Okay. So let's see. In projects, not resources, in Kotlin, Java, it is definitely one page, right? But 2 states. So we have UI, roller, it is the page what we see. We see your roller UI state, and roller UI state is sealed interface. What means it's sealed? It means this interface is implemented only inside of it, you have 2 implementation, or outside of it, but within the same file. Okay. So it's extra information to Kotlin. So number of dice is shared between roll it and not roll it, because it's even you roll, you still have number of dice. So this number of dice is implemented in roll it as variable, and in not roll it, it's also implemented as not variable, property. It's not variable, it's property. In Kotlin can have properties declared in interface. Why? Because under the hood, this property declared in interface, it's not a value. It is 2 methods, set number and get number. Just because it doesn't carry data, it is fine to have a property in interface. Okay. In Java, you have to declare property as set value and get value, essentially, 2 functions, 2 methods. Okay. So I implemented it with 2 data functions, 2 data classes. A data class can inherit, but you cannot inherit from data class. Yeah, it doesn't work in Kotlin, prohibited. So this role, not roll it, contains only number of dice that we're about to roll. And what is roll it? Roll it contains roll data. And roll data in this end date when it was rolled. So when you roll, it displays timestamp. So after rolling, it has 2 pieces, roll data, date, and number of dice. That is inherited. Property is inherited here. Okay, questions? So how it behaves? So why did I say that Google likes to use these things? Google examples that load data from internet applies the same logic. Not loaded, loaded, error. So 3 states. No, there is also loading state. Initial state, loading state, error state. Oh, OK state when it's loaded, and error state. So they have interface something and implement it with states as data classes or objects. You can implement interface directly by object in Kotlin. Okay. We will see this a lot. So it's a demo ahead of this approach. That state can be defined as interface, not just data class. So let's see this inside of view model. In the view model, I created mutable state flow as before and initialized it to initial state, and this is a constant defined in companion object. What is companion object? Companion object is essentially static in other languages. It is what is shared between all objects created from the given object, from the given class. So it is included in every class, in every object created from this class. So it is companion of all objects created from the class. So as I said, it is equivalent of static keyword in other languages, but it is not exact copy-paste. So static in Java, it's not the same as companion object in Kotlin. Somehow, somewhere, there is still difference. But behavior, it is the same. So what do we have here? So initial state, it is starting with number of dice 3, not roll it. Okay. Why did I create it? Because on reset, I will just assign it to UI state value without copying. So we don't have to copy. We can just assign it directly to the value. So it's another way to access a container of mutable state flow. Okay. So you can call update, or you can just assign to the value, and this will update. So another piece of new information, right? So what happens on roll? I'm creating roll data from roll service. So again, this roll service is not injected. So it has exactly the same issue as in the previous program when it was game service. Okay. So this view model is not testable separately from this service, right? Because it's not given as a parameter to view model, a view model constructor. Why? Again, I wanted to keep it simpler. This is the reason why. And also it works, and it's not really necessary at this point. But for sake of demonstration, I will make example where it is injected, actually, to show injection with factory and injection using factory and injection using health system. So it is future example. Okay. So roll as service get roll data for this number of dice, store it in UI state. So UI state value, it is what value inside of it, and this is number of dice in it. If number of dice is coming from settings, this logic will become more complicated. Because settings will provide flows, this flow should connect to this flow, update of this flow. Yeah. So we'll have to think about it, how to make it right. So it is less obvious, I would say. Okay. Because settings come, in settings interface, it's flow. So essentially, we'll need to pick data from the flow and somehow update this flow, right? We will deal with it later. Okay. So we got raw data, and then new value, Again, I'm not calling updates. In this case, I just assign value just to show that, yeah, you can just assign value directly when you need it. And I call constructor roll it. I assigned this raw data to first parameter of constructor, and second parameter is just current date. Okay. So this is my view model here. Okay. And the trick that we use with this state declared as interface. So let's see. I'm going to app root screen. As usual, parameter is view model. Right? I pick it. This is container of mutable state flow. Right? But it is visible as state flow because it is this public variable. So it is visible as state flow. And state flow is converted to state container using this function. So type of this part, it is state container. And I didn't use delegation here. I just use it state directly, state container. What is rationale? Why didn't use delegation by? I don't remember why, but I remember that I bet it didn't work. This is why I didn't use it. So I bet I tried to use by, but it didn't work. So I had to use brute force. We can try to change it with by and see if it works. I bet I don't use by here because it didn't work. So I have the same logic similar logic for this piece. But I decided not to store it inside of UModel. I'll just store it inside of UI. The same way as I did it in our calculator example for this pop-up piece. And now I have a scaffold with top bar, floating action button, modifier, and inside of it I have column. This is column that contain number of dice input. It is this one. I created a separate function because this is surprisingly long. So this piece is quite long code. So I've wrapped it into a separate function. And this when appears a lot in Google examples. When based on UI state. This UI state, remember this is interface. That could be two cases. Either, in this case, either roll it or not roll it. And I'm making switch based if it is on roll it or not roll it. We can make it only, this switch, we can make this switch only if it is sealed interface. Otherwise, we would have to provide else. Right? Because if interface is not sealed, when we'll assume that somewhere it's possible to implement this in another file. Okay. Okay. So again, if this interface is not sealed, we would have to create else and just empty else, whatever. Don't do anything. Okay. So when state is rolled, I'm displaying rolled body function. When state is not rolled, I'm displaying not rolled body function. And rolled body or not rolled body function, it is this thing. I believe it is just this thing. Because button is below. Buttons are below. Right? So this roll it, and I click reset. This is not roll it. So not roll it is quite obvious. It is just text field. And roll it is more interesting. It is a line of images, line of numbers, total, and timestamp. All right. So I'm curious about this part. Remember that I said that if we use by, it just didn't work. So let's try. I will comment this out. Oops. Comment it out. Comment it out. Next, I will copy this thing. Copy. Paste. And logically, this is what is inside of it, right? You see, this is container, and this is the value. Okay. So technically, and this is the value inside of it. You see, I'm doing assignment. So I do by, and try to do this. See this one. By, view model, state. Okay. Last time I tried, it caused issues below. Yep. You see? So what happens here? Smart cast to roll it, UI state roll it is impossible because UI state is a property that has open custom getter. Just because we use it all open, because we use it custom getter for by, compiler doesn't take it. Why? I don't know, some internal reasons. So instead of using by, I just did equivalency. That worked. So I created container variable, and I assigned content of the container to UI state. But technically, this is kind of the same, right? But compiler just said no. Okay. Computer said no, like in this TV show. Okay. So this is the case. Remember, I said in many cases by just make it shorter, but sometimes you just cannot use it, and that is the case when it just doesn't work. Okay. Computer said no. Okay, continue. So I will delete this part. What is interesting besides it? This piece, it is kind of mostly tedious because it is column of rows of different stuff. So yeah, just look inside and see how it's done. There's nothing special at all. And this part, it's a little interesting because it's actually two pieces connected to each other. So it's not one piece. And what happens on reset, it's not interesting at all. It is just one message. So this is on roll. But this part, it is interesting. So which one it is? It is number of dice input. Number of dice input. Okay. So what is selected, I decided to store what is selected in, no, it is not what is selected. This is the state of it is close it or open it. It has to be state variable for it because it's technically UI state. So this is select expanded state if it is open it or closed. By default, it is closed. Select options are coming from These select options, it is array of strings. Where it is coming. Also, we didn't see it before, so this is extra information. It is definitely in string resource, but you can create array of strings in two places in Android. Okay, so let's see. In resources values, I created strings. It was strings, but you can also create resource called arrays.xml. And you can put that array in arrays.xml. It will work. But you can just put string arrays inside of strings XML. It's just fine. How it looks? String array, name of it, and this is the values. Okay. Definitely these values are displayed to the user, and it is per language. This is why it is in string resource. Okay. Because to make it easier to switch between languages. So going back, so this is, what did we learn? That we can create arrays of strings inside of string resource and retrieve it as array of strings. This one. And this variable, it is selected text and it is selected options and number of dice -1. Select options, it is this piece. Right? So it is text that I assign it from the given array. So it is selected text variable. Number of dice -1. Where number of dice is coming from? It is index of whatever is picked. Where it is used, let's see. Selected text, number of dice, -1. It's coming from here, right? So it is coming from UI state. So it's not current state. It is showing previous state, right? Okay. So it is showing previous state, whatever was stored in your model. This piece. So this will be selected text. So I pick a number of dice -1 and use this array to display text here. So this will be used to display text here. So outlined text input. So it is outlined text input, actually. And this is the value selected text displayed. But what makes it drop-down piece? Because this outlined text input is wrapped in exposed drop-down menu box. So technically it is two pieces. Outlined text input inside of exposed drop-down menu box. How do I know? I copy-paste it. There is no logical way to guess such things. It's only spending lots of time of Googling to find out how to do it. And eventually it comes up. This is the nature of GUI programming in Android. Some things are just no logical way to guess. You just have to Google it or sit and dig through documentation, and it's one of those things. But once you learn it, you can keep copy-pasting it from one project to another project. After this, it's easier. Like this particular piece, how can we imagine that it's actually two different things, right? No logical way, but it's actually two different things, right? Text, outline it, text field, inside of exposed drop-down menu box. Okay. This is how it is current way to do it. Okay. This is what is the current way to do it. Looks strange, but it works. So, and again, when I ask you to do assignments, it's typically don't ask you, I'm not asking you to spend hours and hours of Googling. It is usually, if I ask something in assignment, it was in some example where you can look up, because I'm kind of protecting your time. Okay? But if you need something, some extra knowledge, definitely you're absolutely welcome to go through books, Googling, and all this. So this was the interesting part of it. And I don't think there's anything else interesting in this example. And we will definitely return to it when we learn about settings. When number of dice is coming from settings. Store it in the settings. Because this is not stored anywhere. When you close program, open it again, it will be 3. It will not remember your selection that you like to use 4 dice. It will restart with 3. Okay. Questions? No? So for now, we're done with this example. Let's open or clone one more example. It will be last for today. And I don't plan to dig into that one a lot because it's a big one. Okay. And I will emphasize things that are not immediately obvious. Okay. That example is imitation of example from Google. It was word guessing game. Guess a word, they pick a word, they shuffle letters, and you're supposed to guess what it was originally. I couldn't guess at all, most of them at least. So I got angry and rewrote it. Because when you cannot actually test it by going through steps, you cannot guess anything. So unless you look up code and see actually words and, okay, this is a word from the code. It's kind of stupid. So I rewrote it, and now it's not guessing word, it's guess answer. And not guess answer, it is mass trainer, so it is just calculation. Okay. But again, idea is not mine. I reused GUI from Google. I just edited that GUI. So let's stop it, this one, and clone project.